today is this actually isn't going to be broadcast as a podcast. So if you're watching us, you're actually getting a preview of the show a couple hours, maybe a few hours ahead of when the podcast itself will go live, because we have a very specific inability to broadcast the podcast and the video and everything else, just because largely of the equipment that is required to make that happen. And so we just can't make it all go live at once. Well, I'm driving in a truck, paying attention to the driving and not paying attention to what's going on with the actual broadcast here as it is. So, that being said, I'm going to get out of a little bit of traffic here, and then we will start the actual show. So, hey, thanks for joining us. There are a lot of people on the roads in the mornings here that, they're not exactly great drivers on the freeways. They don't know how to pass. They don't know which lane to be in. They don't know where they should be going. And, they cause all kinds of consternation and other issues on the freeways and byways of America. Driving by one of those people, right now. So, all right, I think that we are just about ready to start the program and go live. Lucky people on social media, the Twitch, the Twitter, and YouTube and Facebook. You'll get to see it live. They'll have to hear a recording. So, here the show comes. You are listening to The American Soundbite, a podcast that features common sense thoughts of an everyday American. This is the start of the most valuable 10 minutes of your day, so thanks. I'd like to ask you to, be considerate of your friends, your family members, even some co-workers. People that may be less conversant than you, or just, not quite as fun to be around because they don't have, the current events right on top of their brain. Let them know that you start your day with the American Soundbite, and that they should too. All you got to do is click the share button, put it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media that you are active on, and, they will read it and they'll start joining our conversation. We'll appreciate it. Hey, thanks, and welcome to the American Soundbite here this morning. I want to apologize up front for the background road noise. Our road show this week is literally being recorded while we are on the road. So we're paying attention to our driving, not to, the podcast itself directly. And so the road noise is, an unfortunate circumstance of our current location and situation. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit more about the whole Rona, the virus that is still plaguing our nation and the world overall. But more specifically, I want to talk about our elected representatives in the House of Representatives, in Congress, and the Senate, and talk about the their response to this whole thing. Obviously, in many of our states, we had of closures, we had businesses that weren't operating, we had all kinds of revenue that was lost, and schools that were shut down, and everything else. That may or may not have been a good idea, but it is what happened, and that's that. Since we've opened back up, we've seen cases increase, which we expect. That's exactly what happened. We opened back up, and the numbers, I wouldn't say that they've spiked. If you look at the national averages, they haven't spiked, but they have slowly climbed up to a point where, we're seeing a huge number of infections each and every day, to a point where it is concerning. But when you look at the hospitalization rates, you look at the death rates, you look at the actual complications that people are having as a result of the virus, a much lesser number or lower percentage or just lower actual number of cases than it was before, even though we're seeing a higher number of people actually with or testing positive for the virus. But that being said, our congressmen, our senators who we elect to do our bidding at the federal level, when this whole thing first started, they were quick to throw some money our way. They're kind that way. They've got our backs. They're really thinking of us when it comes to, giving us our tax dollars back. The money that we paid in taxes, they're gonna grace us with the privilege of getting some of that back. And that's great. They've helped the economy. They've helped affect some change and get us into a better place economically. But other than that, they really haven't done anything. They haven't provided any guidance. They haven't really provided any assistance. They haven't taken any steps to ease the burden that the states are facing, provide any type of federal regulation or any type of insight that they could garner from, obviously the federal government, while the states are all dealing with this. Now, I'm not saying at all that I would agree with a federal bureaucracy overseeing federal level bans or restrictions or anything else, but I would certainly expect that our congressmen and our senators would be much more visible in our local communities. Through this entire episode that we're having in this country. And yet, they're not doing that. I don't know if you've attempted to call your congressman. Calls and emails go into, and they have these, paid staffers that, work for, the Senate and Congress that say, the congressman and the senator, they're very interested in this and they're going to review this and I will take notes. And then they hit a button and it processes a letter contacting your congressman or the congressman or your senator never actually hear what's going on. They don't ask. In fact, in most cases, that information goes right into the wastebasket on the computer, where the person who says that they're taking the notes for you is typing them. So it never goes anywhere. And your congressmen and your senators, because they're not necessarily interested in your care about what you think they should be doing or how they should be voting or what you need your elected representative. They don't care. They're non-responsive. And that's largely due to the fact that most people in Congress today, both houses, the House of Representatives and the Senate, they're professional politicians. They're focused on their career and staying elected, staying in office, and making more money off of, well, they're not us. They're not the people. They're not interested in what you, their constituents, want or need or even have to say when it comes to, well, what they do in office. And so instead, they just blow it off and they go about their business. And when it comes to time for election, they're going to beg you for money and tell you all the great things that they did because, oh, they spent money here and they spent money there, and I created a new park or renamed section of road, or we built a bridge and put your name on it, whatever it is. They're going to come to you and ask for your money. They're going to ask for your support, but they're not going to do anything to support you. We direly need common people serving in the House of Representatives, common people serving in the Senate, people who are willing to serve only one term in each of those bodies, people who are interested in what it is that you think, what it is that you need, and what they in Congress can do for you. The only way that's ever going to happen is if we vote for non-political professionals, non-politicians, people who don't have aspirations to spend an entire career in Washington, D.C. It's time that we vote for, well, the woman next door, or, you know, the baker at the corner bakery, for local people who have political aspirations, not because they want to be a politician, but because they want to go to Congress for a single term, and they want to make life better for themselves. They want to make private interest groups and lobbyist organizations, because they have the power of their title, of their elected office. No, we need people in office who are willing to go and do a public service for a single term. People who will do the right thing. People that will think of, well, their constituents, of you and me, rather than how it affects their political future. And the only way to do that is, well, every time that we see elect the people, not professional politicians, to be in office. And we have to make sure that they never become political professionals by, well, only letting them be in office for one term. That doesn't mean we need term limits. We don't not need them to pass a bill and to vote on limiting their own existence. We just need to make sure that we always vote for the non-incumbent, not based on party, not based on any of that, purely based on the fact that we need common people to be in office for a single term to do our bidding. And it's that simple. It really is. Our election season is about to be thrust upon us. We're going to see all kinds of ads. We're going to get all kinds of mailers. There's going to be all of a sudden them that they aren't interested in doing your bidding in Congress, but they're interested in extending their political career. They're interested in extending the money that they make from private interest groups, from lobbyist organizations, that they make off of, well, your votes and off of your hard work. And we need to recognize that the only way that we're ever going to put an end to that is to vote for the other guy, whoever that other guy is. We are always going to be better off. We, the people, if we have common folks and not professional politicians in office. So I urge you, vote for the other guy. Vote for the guy who isn't a politician. Vote for the guy who doesn't want to make a career out of serving in Washington, D.C., but the person who works down the street, the person who is taking a sabbatical from their career or is at the end of their career and is willing to serve you and me for the next 2 years in the seat of Congress that our district is. And that is how we are going to have a much better, a much more effective government and country overall, not by putting professional politicians who bicker and complain and, well, make sure that they don't get things done while they're in office, because the less that gets done, the more the professional politicians win. The more we lose, the more they win. And they know that, they understand that, they get that, and they exemplify that. So let's put the non-politician in office. Let's give them a shot. Let's see what they do. And you know what? In 2 years, we're going to vote for a new non-politician. So it's a way to start something. It's a way to, well, affect change in Washington, D.C. And it's a way to make our country even better than it is right now. So this is our chance. This is our opportunity. This is the time to make a difference. You have been listening to a road episode of the American Soundbite. We're coming to you live, driving down the freeways, the highways, and the byways of America. This has been the most valuable, 12 minutes of your day, and I appreciate you being a part of it. Hey, before you go, if you like the show, if you like the content, if you like what we do, click on the like button. That lets me know that you enjoyed it and, well, encourages me to keep doing more. If you didn't like what I talked about, if you didn't like me, or, you just have some comments to make, type them in the comment box. I do read those every night, and believe me, it affects change in the show. While you're at it, right next to that like button is the share button. Let your friends, your family members, your coworkers know that you start the day by listening to the American Soundbite, and that they would be a better person if they did too. Not only will they appreciate it, but you will appreciate it, and, well, I will too. Thanks a lot for listening. I hope you have a great day, and God bless. Alrighty, and that is a wrap. We did record the show on an SD card, and that will be uploaded to the podcast server later, and will go live either later today or tomorrow, depending on how it works. But you got to see it right now live. So I would appreciate any comments or even private messages that you have about, well, the sound quality. I'm not sure if there's a lot that I can do about that. I'm using a little lavalier microphone on my chest right here. And obviously I'm sitting in a car and I'm driving down the road, so I'm focused on driving. I'm not really focused on what I'm saying or the materials that I studied for the show, so I may have rambled or missed some points that I intended to make, but that's just the way it goes with it. That's some feedback, and it will help me maybe make some changes or some adjustments or do things a little bit differently here for the show that we will record live, probably on the road again. Windy out here. I'm heading west, so the weather that we have